Welcome back, everyone. Have you ever gone to YouTube and typed in why I left or why I quit World of Warcraft? Well, that's going to be the purpose behind this video. I'd like to share my experience with the game, as most of it is actually pretty funny, but at the end, you're going to see why I left the game and why I kind of walked away from Blizzard Entertainment as a whole. So let's get on to it. Once upon a time, long time ago, in fact, it feels like, I once lived in San Francisco and I moved to San Diego sometime in the year 2000. Being a young man at 19 years old, just 1 month shy of 20, I had to get a job. So I did. I got a job working at a local food grocery chain, and I was meant to get that job because that's where I met my best friend. Me and my best friend start to hang out, start to play video games together, and we're discussing all the games that we love, and we had just oodles of fun gaming and just hanging out in general. Eventually, we hear about what's brewing at Blizzard Entertainment. We're both Warcraft 2 fans, by the way. So we hear news of World of Warcraft. We have no idea what the game's going to be, so we went out of our way to find as many magazines or online news clippings as we could to uncover more news about the game. And as time went on, it was time for us to pre-order the game, back when pre-ordering games actually mattered, by the way. So we both pre-ordered the game, and I don't know if anybody else remembers this, but we pre-ordered the game back before the game first released, so we got a copy of the Well of Eternity trilogy, which was nice. So I was able to read that before the game released. Well, 2004 rolls around, and the game releases, and all of the servers became overloaded. Everyone loves to mention this because everyone had to deal with that server issue. But we eventually were able to play, and everything was good. So we were questing, we were enjoying Azeroth for the first time, doing quests, just going randomly around and just finding what we could find, exploring where we could explore, and man, it was a lot of fun. The days turned into months turned into years, and we just kept grinding on until my best friend tells me, hey, I'm going to ditch your guild because I want to join a different guild. I said, that's fine. You do you. I made fun of him about it, called him a traitor, but, I really didn't care. So he joins a new guild, and we kind of do our own thing, and we both have fun. Eventually, my best friend gives me a call and says, hey, you remember that guild I joined? I said, yeah. I said, well, my guildies. I said, wait a minute. Your what? He says, my guildies, Dan. My guildies. That's what we're calling each other. Guildies. So I made fun of him about that for a little bit, but then I said, please continue. And he did. He says, well, my guildies, they want to pay for my own internet line in my house because they really like me and they want me to play more World of Warcraft, and so they want to kind of pay for my internet connection so I can kind of be with them more often. I said, that's really weird. But, hey, if they want to pay for your own internet line, they go right on ahead, dude. You have fun with that. He says, yeah, it'll be cool. So that happens. And I think that's just a freak show occurrence. It was very nice of them. I'm being a little sarcastic here, as you can tell, but it was very nice of them to do that. More time goes by. My best friend calls me up again and says, hey, you know those guildies I mentioned earlier? I said, yes. Yes, I remember your guildies. How can I forget? They're paying for your internet. He says, yeah. As it turns out, the majority of them are Blizzard employees. And they want to get me a job. I said, they what? He says, yeah, no, they want to get me a job. They said that I qualify. They said that they're all pulling for me, and they're going to try to get me a job there. I said, wow, that's crazy. Dude, you go for it. You go become a Blizzard employee. He said, yeah, Dan, that's exactly what I plan on doing. And, well, he does. He becomes a Blizzard employee. My main man, who plays WoW endlessly, doesn't sleep, just, because sleep is for the dead, plays WoW all night long. This dude eventually finds people that hires him I mean, that's some good luck, man. That is some good luck. So he gets hired, and then he starts to tell me about all of the wild, crazy, cool perks he gets for working there. And he describes all these benefits, which are, free games, free swag, all kinds of fun stuff. And then he tells me, because I get all this free stuff, I get free extra stuff. And that free extra stuff, Dan, is going to you. I said, why, thank you, good sir. That sounds like a plan. So what does that mean exactly? Well, what it meant was that every expansion of World of Warcraft, I think past 𝐡𝐞𝐫𝐞, I don't recall, but he got hired right around that time. If I remember correctly. I don't know. I mean, it's been a while. But ever since roughly around 𝐡𝐞𝐫𝐞, Pandaria, somewhere in there, he starts sending me copies of all of the expansions for free. I'm not paying for any of this. So every expansion since then I've gotten for free. When StarCraft 2 released and the expansions therein, I got those for free. When Overwatch was developing and was in a beta, I got free access to the beta. When the game came out, I got the game for free. When Diablo 3 released, I got that for free. So literally every Blizzard product that was releasing, I got for free. And the cherry on top of all of that was that he started sending me annual subscription payment key cards that paid for World of Warcraft monthly for an entire year. An entire year's worth of World of Warcraft was paid by these little time cards. And so I quite literally was not paying for anything Blizzard related at all. How lucky was I? I got to play all of these games absolutely for free. So, years go by. I moved back from San Diego back to the San Francisco Bay Area. Things change. I moved. I meet new friends, and those new in real life friends of mine are playing WoW. He's playing WoW. We kind of play together, and everything's good. Everything's fun. And in my new batch of friends I make, somewhere in 2008, 2009, somewhere in there. Maybe even 2010. Somewhere in that era. I meet this friend. Her name is Lisa. She has a boyfriend. Her boyfriend was kind of a narcissist. Just a little bit of a narcissist. He used to talk about himself a lot. Whenever we would all log into the game and play, we'd go on Ventrilo, we'd all talk to each other. He would log in, Lisa's boyfriend would log in, and it would just be me. So it would be a whole lot of, I'm so cool, I have this, I have that, I have this, I'm so rich, I got, I paid for this, I bought that, blah, blah. So it was just blah, 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 blah. And so my friends and I, we got kind of tired of it. And so I warned everybody that I would come up with a plan. And they all said, uh-oh. When Dan says he has a plan, it's usually pretty diabolical. So we don't know what Dan's going to do, but it's going to be bad. So we're playing WoW one day, and Lisa's boyfriend shows up again. Me. And so I unplug my headphones from my speakers. I adjust my microphone closer to my speakers. And as Lisa's boyfriend is still prattling on about himself, I decide to crank on. I decide to crank on the song, The Never-Ending Story. And I am subtly increasing the volume the more he speaks. I'm just turning up the volume as he continues to prattle on about himself, to the point where it's clear he knows what I'm doing, and he gets super duper mad. You can hear him swearing in the background, and he rage quits, and he logs off. So the next thing I hear is the roaring of laughter, people smacking their tables. I'm hearing gasping for air, wheezing, and in the midst of all that laughter and chaos, I hear Lisa's voice break through saying, Dan, I love you, man. So everyone is saying that's the most hilarious thing they've ever heard. Good times. We were all having fun times. I was having fun with the game. Everything was good. Slowly but surely, much like that, the cartoon bot YouTube channel, much like his animated video about when the WoW video where the player is looking around and seeing all their friends disappear. Well, that exact thing happened to me, right? All my friends are disappearing, real-life obligations get in the way, and I'm kind of left alone. I'm playing. I'm just working and playing and working and playing. Going to work, coming home and playing. But then, even that starts to change. You see, as every expansion continues, the game changes more and more. And the changes were less noticeable at first, but then became kind of loud and clear as, Warlords of Draenor and so on. As all those expansions came in, it's just the game got more and more further and further away from its core self. The game started to kind of lose its identity. And that's when I started to have problems with the game. Problems like, I described it like this. The game Blizzard Entertainment kind of became like your parents, handing you a list of chores, telling you before you can have fun, you have to complete all of these chores first. That's what World of Warcraft became. It became a chore. It became a second job. Dailies, all of the upkeep, even upkeeping your upkeep back when that was a thing. I just felt like a hamster in a wheel. I felt like there were all of these things that I had to do in order to prepare myself for the next expansion. And that became a problem in and of itself. I felt as if all I was doing was preparing myself for the next expansion, which was kind of erroneous because the next expansion kind of erases all of your progress anyway. You're doing dungeons, you're getting gear. You're doing the better dungeons to get better gear. You're doing raids to get even better gear. Then you're doing mythics to get even better gear. It's just this ladder climbing that never ends. And then the next expansion drops, and you're like, well, I got to do all that all over again. And it just kind of stopped being fun. And then, this is my own personal opinion. Everyone might have a problem with this. I don't care. This is my story. But flying. I had a big issue with flying. And here was my issue. When the game first started, way back in 2004, when you start flying, you pay a flat fee, you get flying, and you fly around. As the expansion started piling up, Blizzard started changing the way that you earn flying, to the point where you're quite literally doing a long, arduous quest chain that also included reputation grinding just to get flying back. And that's when I'll be honest, I kind of lost it at that point. I told Blizzard no. I said, no, I'm not going to do this arduous quest chain just to get flying back. That's stupid. I just want to I just want to have fun. But by that point in time, by the time all of those things were happening, World of Warcraft has lost its identity. So I was stuck between liking a game that I used to play and have fun with all my friends to a game that has become a product and no longer a game. And that's a problem. And then, the final nail in the coffin, the straw that broke the camel's back to me, wasn't intentional by any means, but it did feel as if it was personal. The layoffs came. And the layoffs hit my best friend. That's when I said to myself, I don't think I have any reason to continue playing Blizzard games anymore. And so, I took my mouse, I clicked the Blizzard app, I hovered over uninstall, and I haven't looked back since. And this was I think I walked away from the game back in, 2021, 22, somewhere in there? I don't know, it's been a few years, I don't remember. But the game used to be fun, and then the game turned into a second job. And I don't feel like playing a second job. My in-real-life job is already a job. I don't need a second one. And to be perfectly honest, I haven't even brought up all of the political stuff happening within Blizzard. I have intentionally left all of that out of this video. But there were multiple reasons why I just didn't feel like playing the game anymore. And the underlining principle of why I stopped playing the game was because it stopped feeling like a game and more like a job. So I don't know if you feel the same way that I do, but that's my World of Warcraft story. I could have gone into specifics about each and every little thing that I didn't like about World of Warcraft, but plenty of other YouTubers have already done that, and so I don't need to repeat what somebody else has already said. I just wanted to convey my experience with the game and see if there's somebody else that has a similar experience. So if you have a similar experience, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll chit-chat with you. If, by any chance, you're interested in the subject further, I might do a video about what would bring me back to World of Warcraft, because I've got a lot of ideas in that regard. So if that's something you're interested in hearing, let me know. But that's all the time I have for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Do all the happy, fun, social stuff like normal. I'm on X, I'm on Gab, find me on Odyssey. I will be streaming from time to time, as much as I can. And until next time, have fun.